The Middle Ages, spanning roughly from the 5th to the 15th centuries, are often dubbed the Dark Ages. This label, while simplistic, hints at a period shrouded in mystery and marked by hardship. It was a time of great upheaval, with the fall of the Roman Empire leaving a void in Europe. From this void emerged a new world, shaped by feudalism, religion, and the constant threat of war, famine, and disease. The term Dark Ages originated in the Renaissance, a period that saw itself as a rebirth of classical learning and culture. Renaissance thinkers looked back on the Middle Ages as a time of intellectual stagnation, superstition, and barbarity. While this view is overly simplistic, it reflects the very real challenges and complexities of the medieval world. Despite its reputation for darkness, the Middle Ages were also a time of great faith, innovation, and cultural achievement. The Catholic Church, a dominant force in medieval life, provided spiritual guidance and fostered the development of art, architecture, and music. Monasteries became centers of learning, preserving ancient texts and fostering scholarship. Nevertheless, the shadows of the Middle Ages loom large in our collective imagination. The period witnessed some of history's most devastating pandemics, brutal conflicts, and religious persecution. It was an era where life was often short and uncertain, and where the boundaries between faith, superstition, and fear were blurred. The medieval world operated under a different set of rules and beliefs than our own. Practices that seem bizarre and even barbaric to modern eyes were commonplace in the Middle Ages. These practices often stemmed from a combination of religious fervor, a lack of scientific understanding, and a deeply ingrained belief in the supernatural. Trial by ordeal, for example, was a common method of determining guilt or innocence. This practice, often used in cases lacking clear evidence, relied on divine intervention to reveal the truth. Accused individuals were subjected to painful ordeals, such as being submerged in water or forced to hold a red-hot iron. Survival was seen as proof of innocence, while succumbing to injury or death indicated guilt. Flagellation, the act of self-whipping, was another common practice rooted in religious belief. Flagellants believed that inflicting pain upon themselves could atone for their sins and appease God. Punishment in the medieval era was often brutal, public, and designed to instill fear and maintain order in society. Justice was harsh, and the methods of punishment varied depending on the crime and the accused's social status. Torture was commonly used to extract confessions, with devices such as the rack, the Iron Maiden, and thumbscrews inflicting unbearable pain. For crimes like theft or deception, punishments ranged from floggings and branding to the loss of limbs. A thief might have a hand cut off as a warning to others. More serious offenses such as heresy, witchcraft, or treason could result in burning at the stake, beheading, or even being boiled alive. Public executions and punishments, such as being placed in the stocks or the pillory, served as humiliating spectacles where the accused would be pelted with rotten food, stones, or even excrement. Nobles were sometimes spared the worst fates, often facing execution by beheading, while peasants and common criminals were subjected to far more gruesome and prolonged deaths. Inquisition courts were notorious for their use of psychological and physical torture, forcing accused heretics to confess before facing execution. These punishments reflected the deeply superstitious and unforgiving nature of medieval law, where justice was often swift, merciless, and inescapable. Few events in human history have been as devastating as the Black Death. This bubonic plague, which swept across Europe in the mid-14th century, killed an estimated 1/3 to 1/2 of the continent's population. The Black Death's impact extended far beyond its staggering death toll, leaving an indelible mark on European society, culture, and religion. The Black Death arrived in Europe via trade routes from Asia, carried by infected fleas on rats. Its arrival was swift and deadly, with victims experiencing fever, chills, swollen lymph nodes, and often death within days. Medieval medicine, ill-equipped to understand or combat the disease, offered little solace to the afflicted. The plague's rapid spread and devastating mortality rates sowed terror and chaos throughout Europe. Cities and towns became overwhelmed with the sick and dying, while mass graves became commonplace. The breakdown of social order led to widespread fear, superstition, and violence. The Black Death caused profound social and economic changes that reshaped Europe in the long term. With nearly 60% of the population wiped out, there was a severe labor shortage, which disrupted agriculture, trade, and craftsmanship. Peasants who survived gained more bargaining power as landowners struggled to find workers, leading to higher wages and better working conditions. This shift gradually weakened the feudal system, as peasants demanded more freedom and rights, eventually leading to the rise of a more wage-based economy. With so many peasants and laborers dead, there was a severe shortage of workers, leading to higher wages and more bargaining power for the lower classes. Many serfs left their feudal lords, seeking better opportunities in cities, which helped weaken the feudal system. The drastic population decline also led to abandoned villages and farmland, forcing lords to adapt or lose power in towns and cities. The disruption of trade led to economic decline in the short term, but in the long run, fewer workers meant that resources became scarcer, which increased the value of labor. The wealth gap also widened, with some landowners and merchants benefiting from the reduction in the workforce, while the lower classes struggled. In cities, surviving merchants and artisans gained wealth, contributing to the rise of a new middle class that would play a crucial role in the Renaissance. Additionally, the Black Death led to changes in religious practices and cultural shifts, as people questioned traditional beliefs and sought new ways of coping with such devastation. The overall result was a transformation of European society, laying the foundation for the Renaissance and the rise of more modern economic and social structures. The plague's devastation set in motion economic shifts, social mobility, and cultural changes that shaped the modern world. The strange case of the dancing plague. In the year 1518, a strange and terrifying phenomenon swept across the town of Strasbourg. It began with a single woman dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Within days, dozens of others joined her, unable to stop, unable to rest. People danced to their deaths, collapsing from exhaustion, starvation, or heart attacks. Priests attempted exorcisms. Doctors blamed hot blood, but no one could explain it. Was this a mass hysteria, a curse, or something even more chilling? To this day, the true cause remains a mystery. The secret underground prisons of the Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was one of history's most brutal institutions. But what many don't know is that beneath many medieval cities lay hidden prisons, where the accused were tortured for confessions. From Iron Maidens to the rack, the church used horrific methods to extract truth from so-called heretics. Some prisoners were never seen again, vanishing without a trace. And the worst part, some of these ancient underground prisons still exist today, forgotten beneath modern cities. What dark secrets do they still hold? The Spanish Inquisition could imprison and persecute individuals for a wide range of reasons, many of which were based on vague accusations, suspicion, or personal vendettas. The primary goal was to enforce religious uniformity under Catholic rule, so anyone suspected of heresy, blasphemy, or practicing non-Christian beliefs, such as Jews, Muslims, and Protestants, was at risk. Even conversos were targeted if they were suspected of secretly practicing their old faith. Other common accusations included witchcraft, sorcery, or possessing forbidden books, especially texts linked to science, philosophy, or non-Christian teachings. Simply criticizing the church, questioning religious doctrine, or refusing to denounce a suspected heretic could also result in arrest. Some cases were based on false accusations by jealous neighbors or rivals, as the Inquisition encouraged people to report others anonymously. Once accused, a person had little chance of proving their innocence, as trials relied heavily on forced confessions, secret witnesses, and brutal interrogation methods, making the Spanish Inquisition one of the most feared institutions of the medieval era. The early modern period, which followed the Middle Ages, witnessed a surge in witch hunts. These hunts, fueled by religious fervor, social anxieties, and a belief in the power of witchcraft, claimed the lives of tens of thousands of individuals, primarily women. The witch hunts stand as a chilling testament to the power of fear, superstition, and persecution. The belief in witchcraft was widespread in early modern Europe. Witches were seen as agents of the devil, capable of causing harm through magic and sorcery. They were blamed for a wide range of misfortunes, from crop failures and illness to storms and sudden death. The Malleus Maleficarum, a treatise on witchcraft published in 1486, played a key role in legitimizing and intensifying witch hunts. This book, written by two German inquisitors, provided a comprehensive guide to identifying, interrogating, and punishing suspected witches. Witch trials often involved torture to extract confessions. Accused individuals, often marginalized members of society, were subjected to horrific methods of interrogation, including sleep deprivation, starvation, and physical abuse. The fear and coercion inherent in these trials often led to false confessions. The Knights Templar, once the most powerful and wealthy military order of the Middle Ages, met a sudden and mysterious downfall in 1307. Originally formed to protect Christian pilgrims, they amassed vast wealth, land, and political influence, making them a threat to European monarchs, especially King Philip IV of France, who was deeply in debt to them. On Friday, October 13, 1307, he ordered the mass arrest of Templars across France, accusing them of heresy, devil worship, and forbidden rituals. Many were tortured into false confessions and burned at the stake, while their leader, Grand Master Jacques de Molay, was executed in 1314. However, some Templars escaped, vanishing without a trace along with their legendary hidden treasure and secret knowledge. Some believe they fled to Scotland, Switzerland, or even the New World, continuing their order in secrecy. The Middle Ages were not just a time of knights and castles, they were an age of dark secrets, forgotten knowledge, and chilling mysteries. Some of these horrors remain buried in history, but others may still lurk in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered.